Welcome into today's edition of the Red Sox Rundown. We are presented by Prize Picks, ladies and gentlemen. And in today's video, we are going to be responding to questions from our Red Sox Rundown audience. I'm taking questions from the live chat that we're actually live right now. We were live for the game on Friday night where the Red Sox took down the Yankees. And yeah. So we're going to answer questions on today's show. Before we get into this, though, the Red Sox, even with them winning the first two games against the Yankees, it is pretty evident that they will be selling at the deadline. I do think that at the end of the day, that is the right decision. If you want the Red Sox to sell at the 2026 MLB trade deadline, go on down, like the video. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear them down below. All right, let's get started. N_Grace6. Do you think Marcelo Mayer will be traded at the deadline? Well, my first thought to this would be no. I do think they still see Mayer as the shortstop of the future. I'm definitely going to say no now because he's on the IL. This came in right before the game on Friday that Marcelo Mayer was headed to the injured list with a forearm issue. They say it's the same type of injury that IKF suffered that put him on the injured list. So at this point, I do not think that he will be able to be traded. I don't think that there's really much value there, if I had to say. So I'm going to say no. I do think they still feel that he is the shortstop of the future. But even with the injury now, I don't think you're going to get enough value back for him. That's just my opinion. So it just stinks. So I appreciate you for asking this question. And yeah, I don't think that it makes a lot of sense for this team. Colby Mead, super chat from the live show today. Should the Red Sox keep Roman and Crochet out the rest of the year? It's a very good question, Colby. The updates we've gotten on Roman and Crochet have been not very positive. They've both been progressing, but really not to a level that shows that they're anywhere close to getting back to game action. So as you get closer to the All-Star break, we're already halfway through the season. If they continue to not show any substantial recovery, then I do think you shut them down. I think that you shut them down, you let them get healthy, and you let them have a full, healthy offseason. Because the last thing you want to do is rush them back, then play meaningless games in September, and risk further injuring themselves in the offseason. I would much rather them have a full offseason where they're healthy. It just doesn't make sense risking that, in my opinion. The man, GTHE Man 8, says, what's next? Rebuild or hope for a bounce back year next year? I think it's both, and let me explain. I think you do rebuild. It's not a hard rebuild, but I do think you have a mass sell-off at the deadline. I think you sell off as many valuable players as you can. Of course, there are untouchable cornerstones. You've got Crochet, you've got Williers, Cedon, you've got Tolle and Early, and you've got Roman, who I think are some cornerstones that you want to keep. But everyone else of value you can trade away. And then you take the assets you get back in those trades at the deadline and you invest them into next year. You make a big trade for a big bat. You add to the lineup. You continue to buff up the bullpen. And then I think you compete again. This team's not that far away. Are they going to do it this year? No, they're not. But I do not think they are that far away. I think they're a lot closer than people think. We'll see what happens, though, over the next few months. Before we continue on with the mailbag, we do have to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Prize Picks, ladies and gentlemen. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it is the place to go if you love daily fantasy sports. If you want to create a lineup, it's actually very simple. All you do is you select 2 to 6 players, and you select more or less on their projected stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. At the time of recording this lineup is not complete yet. Lamine Yamal is still playing his game in the World Cup, but we're very close, ladies and gentlemen. This was the action from Friday night, our watch party. I went more on Caleb Durbin, 4.5 hitter fantasy score. That was a dub. I went more than 1.5 allowed walks for Peyton Tolley. That was a dub. I went more than 1.5 walks allowed for Will Warren. That was also a dub. Lamine Yamal, at the time of recording this, has 1 shot. He needs 1 more. If that does hit, this lineup is a win. This is just one example of the potentially thousands and hundreds of thousands of lineups you could make on Prize Picks. The possibilities are literally endless. And I've got a new user offer for you guys. If you guys download the app today and you use code HMA, you can get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to download the app is in the comments and description of today's show. One more time, use code HMA, $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Colby Mead in the live chat of our live stream today. Who has been the biggest shocker for the Red Sox this year in a good way and a bad way? Bad way, I think, is Crochet, because before he got hurt, he just wasn't looking that good. So he was the biggest shocker. Was he starting to come around? Yes, I do think so. But yeah, that was definitely the biggest shocker to start the year, without a doubt. Biggest shocker in a good way is probably Sonny Gray. I thought he'd be good. I didn't think he'd be this good. I thought he would be fairly consistent. He would put together good outings, but I didn't think he was number 2 quality starter. He is. He has been very, very good for the Red Sox this year. So I think that the biggest shocker good is Sonny Gray. The biggest shocker bad is probably Garrett Crochet. Austin with a question. Shout out to Austin, big supporter of the show. He says, and this is a good one, what's your opinion on how the Sox organization seems to be questioning Marcelo Mayer? I think it is mostly unfair to him, but what do you say? So, I'm glad you brought this up, Austin, because I actually have this tweet made. This is what came out on Friday morning. Tyler Milliken aggregating this. Marcelo Mayer has detractors within the Red Sox organization, per Sean McAdam. This is a quote from McAdam's articles. Some question his mental toughness and his tendency to withdraw during slumps. Others wonder if he couldn't do a better job making himself more available through the day-to-day minor physical setbacks that inevitably occur. I think this is bullshit. I'm sorry. Please excuse my cussing. I think this is BS. You have played him at multiple positions this year. You have not given him a consistent position to play. You have thrown him all over the infield. You're doing what you did with Christian Campbell last year. He has been healthy this year up until this most recent injury, which, according to Mayer, he has played through for 2 months. So that's BS. And he hasn't even had a full season in the league yet. I'm sick and tired of people writing off young players so quickly. People in my comments are already doing that about Roman Anthony. They are writing him off. He's had less than a year in the league. People, apparently within the Red Sox organization, people in my Twitter mentions are writing off Marcelo Mayer too. He has not had a full year in the league yet. What happened to letting young guys mature and develop? These guys are younger than me. And we're not going to give them time to mature and develop? I feel like that's BS. And for there to be detractors within the Red Sox organization, for this article to come out the same day that Mayer goes on the IL, that's BS, man. I don't buy it. And I'm getting very sick and tired of people writing off these young players so early. Give them time to develop, guys. It's the majors. It's Major League Baseball. It's the hardest place to play baseball. Give them time. Let them develop. I'm just so sick of that argument. I really am. It's brutal, man. I don't like it. It makes me sick to my stomach. All right, moving right along. We have another question that I want to answer in today's show. We've actually got another one from Austin. I want to get to this one because this one was a really good one. And I actually have a question to ask you guys based off of this. Who are some players that the Red Sox should hold on to at the trade deadline? I'm going to just run through these really quick. Roman Anthony, untouchable. Connolly Early, I'd say untouchable unless it is like a blockbuster type deal. I would say Connolly Early is untouchable. Peyton Tolley, I think, is untouchable. I would make Willier and Cedon close to untouchable. I wouldn't make them untouchable, but I would say very, very close to untouchable. Wilson, you'd have to be blown away by a deal for WC40. I would be very hard pressed to find a deal that's worth Wilson. You still have 2 years of control for him. I would keep Wilson. I think that's kind of it. Like, on the Major League roster, if the price is right for any of these other players, make the move. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. But you guys let me know, though. Go down below in the comments. Name a player that you think is untouchable at the deadline. I just named a bunch for you guys. But you name a Red Sox player that you think is untouchable at the deadline. Want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. You let me know right now. Let's move on to our next question here. From Colby Carlson, this comes via Instagram. Who do you think should be in the All-Star game that is being snubbed if there is someone? It's Wilson Contreras. It's Wilson Contreras. 17th home run on Friday. He's been the best player on the Red Sox this year. He's been absolutely fantastic. And he finished 8th in vote getting, I think, in the American League for first baseman. It should be Wilson Contreras. He's not going to make the All-Star team. It's a damn shame. I wish he did, but it is what it is. My dad has a question. Will Chang, he's talking about Sung Chae Chang, will he be our shortstop for the rest of the year? I don't think so. Story is potentially going to be back by after the All-Star break. So it could be Story. Mayer, I don't think Meyer's done for the year. So I'm going to say no, although he did have an impressive game to start on Friday. Video Game Nation. If Craig Breslow is still in the front office for this offseason, what should the offseason plan be? Assuming you did a mass sell at the deadline, which if Breslow is here, I don't think he will do. If you do a mass sell at the deadline, you take those assets, you trade for a big bat. At least one, maybe two. But you make a blockbuster trade for a big bat with the assets you get at the deadline. You need one. You need one. You need a difference maker in the heart of your order. You've got one in Wilson, but you need another one. And then I think you upgrade your bullpen because assuming you do a mass sell-off, you're probably going to trade away Chapman. You're probably going to trade away Whitlock. You might even trade away Slate. If that happens, you need to retool your bullpen. So that's another thing. I think your rotation's really solid. Maybe you find a number 5, but I think your rotation's really solid. It's really the lineup. You need to upgrade the lineup more. You have to. You need to add power to the lineup. You can't just focus on pitching and defense. So that's what I would do. What can we do to make sure we don't play like this next season? You got to add power. I just talked about it. You've got to add power to the lineup. You've got to have a more balanced lineup. They don't have that this year. The pitching, fantastic. The defense, great. The bullpen, relatively good. You're just not scoring runs. You're not scoring runs. You do not have the power possible to score a bunch of runs. So you've got to make a trade. Because again, like, the free agent market stinks this upcoming offseason. It's not good. So you desperately need to make a trade. That's why I think you should sell off at the deadline. Next question is coming in from Kyle. At what point does ownership acknowledge that this season was on Breslow and not the coaches? If they're not already there, I don't know what they're not seeing. I think they realize it was the roster. I mean, we've got the sample size. They should know at this point that it's the roster. It's not the coach. Now, the question is, if they know that, why is he still here? Do you trust him to do the deadline? I don't trust him to do the deadline. That's just my opinion. But I don't know what's going through Craig Breslow. I mean, I don't know what's going through John Henry's head. I really don't. Shout out to Austin. Another Austin. Who do you think the Red Sox? Who do you want the Red Sox to get rid of this deadline? Chapman should be traded. Whitlock should be traded. Duran should be traded. Who else am I missing here? Sonny Gray should be traded. Those are the 4 right there. Those are the big ones. If you can trade away a catcher, maybe Connor Wong, trade away Connor Wong. If you get an offer you cannot refuse, if you get blown away by an offer, then maybe you trade Contreras. Those are the 5 that I think you can realistically look at and get some good value for. I know people are going to say Yoshida and Story and this and that. You're not going to get value for those guys. I'm talking about guys you trade away to get value. So those are 5 names that I potentially consider trading away to get back any sort of value whatsoever for the Red Sox. To round out today's show, I do have another question, one more question. I want to make sure I have the correct L3 up. We are doing this live, by the way, if you're watching on rerun. 5-star Mari on Instagram. Do you think Chad Tracy will earn the full-time job? I think it's still a little too early to say. They still have the interim tag on him. So I think it's very hard to say. I don't know. I think the young players like him. I think there's a good chance that he does earn the full-time job because of the cohesion he has with the young players. But you've also got to see who's going to be out there in the offseason. Rob Thompson, Carlos Mendoza. Do you want either of those guys? I don't know. You've got to see who's available. I don't think we can make a decision on that right now because we just don't know what the manager market's going to look like at the end of the year. Rounding out the show, has Chad Tracy earned the manager job? Go down below in the comments, type Y for yes, type N for no. You let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I want to hear them. Let me know right now. And before we get out of here, I want to pull this up just so I can show you guys. I've got a duck race up. Remember, we're doing this live, folks, so just bear with me here. Before we get out of here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We just lost a sub, and that broke my heart. But help me get to 12,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Hit that subscribe button if you've not already. I appreciate every single person for watching today's show. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, go Sox.